Hi everyone, so this is the tutorial for the paper rose. So I've already done a quick time lapse this afternoon, so this is just the step-by-step guide on what you need to be doing, and then I'll just cut all the video together so I'll look really swanky, hopefully. So there's a couple of things that you need to know before we start. One of them is your template. I've already cut mine out this afternoon. I printed it out onto card because that just means that when you draw around it, it's a bit more sturdy and it'll last longer as well if you want to make loads of paper flowers, which I totally understand if you do because they're so fun to make. So they need to be printed out onto card if possible. If not, paper's fine, but just be careful when you're cutting it, you're drawing around it, sorry, or otherwise you are going to end up ripping it quite easily. So the other thing is your choice of paper to make your flowers out of. So I use lining paper, which is what you use when you are wallpapering and you need to smooth your walls before you put your pretty wallpaper up. So we bought tons of it when we first moved into our house and I still haven't got rid of it. So I now use it for my paper flowers and I hand dye all the paper. So this is one of my hand dyed pieces, which I use for my roses. As you can see, you get a lovely colour on them. So yeah, I use that. It's really thick as well. It's really durable, so it doesn't rip very easily either, which is great. It's exactly what you want. But obviously you can make them out of whatever you want to make them out of. If you want to make them out of book paper, that's fine. If you want to make them out of printer paper, again, that's fine. It's completely up to you, but I would recommend a heavier weight of paper just so you've got you can move it around a bit and stretch it as well, because that's one thing with thicker paper, it does stretch ever so slightly. So like I said, I've already cut my templates out. I did just use scissors in the time lapse, but obviously I don't need these anymore because I've already cut them out. You can use scissors to cut out your petals as well. That's completely okay if you don't feel comfortable with a scalpel, or if you don't have a scalpel either. Don't just buy one for the sake of this, because you can just use a pair of scissors. But I am going to use a scalpel because that's my preferred method of cutting out. So that's all you really need to know for now. So I'm going to start, well, step one will be for you to print the template out and to cut these shapes out too. They are very weirdly drawn, and it's just because I had to draw around my templates on my my graphics tablet, and my Photoshop skills are slightly lacking in the drawing department, should we say. Ask me to do any photos, fine. If you want me to draw something, not so fine. So yeah, these are not exactly the best, but they're just a rough guideline, because at the end of the day, petals aren't exactly the same, so they need to, you can let them be a bit different if you need to. So I'm going to pop this to one side. So as you can see, you need scissors or a scalpel, you need a pencil, you need an eraser or a rubber, as us British say, a paintbrush that you'll happily sacrifice to some glue, as you can see from earlier. Mine looks a bit tacky, so, but that's totally fine. And you can either use PVA glue or I use Mod Podge. So this is Mod Podge, which is a fantastic glue, and it dries matte, so you don't see the glue once it's dried as well. So, and I'm going to take the lid off now because earlier I struggled a bit, mainly because it glued itself on. So you need to cut out your templates, which here's what I did earlier. and then you need to draw around your templates on your paper. We're not going to do the leaf for now, we're just going to pop the leaf to one side because that's like a finishing touch kind of thing. So you start with your petals. So as you can see, I've already actually started drawing around this one. I'll go this way, you can see. Already started drawing around this one. So if you just carry on, you need approximately 10. I say approximately, you may not use 10, but it's always good to have a spare just in case, because you never know. So I'm only going to draw 6 because I've actually got some in a pot. I wasn't going to do it. I was going to do quick time lapse again, but it's getting a bit late, and I don't think I think the sun's going to start shining through this window soon, so you won't be able to see a thing. So I'm going to do the same with the larger ones as well. As you can see, I'm not very good at this. They look really rubbish when I draw them on the paper, but when I cut them out I can neaten them up with the scalpel blade if necessary. So I'm just going to do 2 actually, because I've got plenty of ones already cut out. So then you would go and cut out your petals. So again, I'm using a scalpel blade. It had a new blade put on today already, but I think it's already getting a bit dull. So you just want to cut around your petal until it's fully cut out. Careful not to slice your fingers. Same if you're using a pair of scissors, careful not to slice your fingers. And just keep cutting until they are completely cut out. What I didn't say at the start of this video is make sure you've got a cutting mat if you're using a scalpel, but also make sure you've got a nice surface as well if you are using, because you are going to be using glue, so you don't want to get glue all over your nice clean dining room table. So best to put a cover on, or just make sure you can clean it up easily enough once you're done. I always work on a cutting mat, even if I'm not cutting, because see, the glass one that I'm using is really easy to clean. You can just use a Dettol wipe on it. Right, so I'm only cutting 4 out because I've already got loads in these little pots over here. So this is just a quick, this is how you do it. So you just want to take your rubber and you just want to rub all your lines out, so your petals are as clean as they possibly can be. If you don't like the shape of it, or you've cut it out a bit wonky or whatever, you can go back and you can give them a quick spruce up once you've got rid of your lines, because I know when your lines are there sometimes you don't necessarily follow them. Right, so I'm quite happy with them. So just make sure you've got all of the bits off, because when you start to glue, they get stuck in the glue really easily. So just give them a quick wipe with your hands, and then just wipe your surface down as well. If you can hear a squeak, it's my chair, by the way. Should have oiled it before I started this, but never mind. So I need 10 of these. So I've got 2. And I need 10 of these. 2. Also, you're going to need a little bit of scrap, so when you were cutting things off, you obviously get scrap paper like this. So I'm just going to steal this bit here, and I'm just going to roll it up into a little ball if possible. Obviously with it being thick paper it doesn't scrunch very easily, but I'm going to try and get it to go into a bit of a cone shape. So it's going to go into one of these. And so if you use your paintbrush to just roll the petal around so it goes like this, all curly. It's really difficult because the GoPro's right in front of me, so I can't actually see what I'm doing. Right, hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. So you kind of want it where that line is there, you want that to go in over it, and then you just want to curl that round so you get a cone, but your line around this part is the circular piece. So once you've got it so it'll go into the cone and you're happy with it, you just want to put a bit of glue on this edge here. And then curl it around until it sticks. You might want to use the end of your paintbrush to go into your cone and push it out over. If you want to leave a little bit of a gap at the top of your cone as well, that's fine. I tend to close my gap. But it's actually supposed to be slightly open because the buds are slightly open, but artistic licensing, I suppose, is the word. So once you're happy with your cone and it's starting to stick, which mine is, I think, I hope, you want to use your paintbrush to go into your cone with some glue on it and just glue the inside. And then you're going to take your little scrunched up ball that I made earlier, or you made earlier. Mine's already kind of cone shaped, just the way I've managed to squish it. So I'm just going to squish it up my cone. And then use a little bit more glue on the end. To turn that over to try and set it. As best I can. It is a bit messy, it is a bit fiddly, but it's totally worth it. So now that's gonna sit and set for a while. I'm gonna pop that up to the back there. Get the excess glue off my paintbrush. So now you're gonna take your leaves, petals. I'm going to do this with a flat one, and you're going to curl it round. So from your broad edge you want to curl it round your paintbrush like so, so it goes curly, and then you want to put your paintbrush in the middle and squeeze it round so it kind of curls over like this, and that's making your petal. So this one's already been done previously, it's just lost its curl. So yeah, you just want to do that to all of your petals. Right, so once all your smaller petals are done, you can do the same with your large petals as well. Same principle, just might want to use the slightly broader end of the paintbrush. Or if you've got a round pencil. Don't use a hexagonal pencil because it doesn't work as well. But yeah, if you just use the broader end or even the thinner end works fine. But just do all of the larger ones too. Right, so once all your larger ones are done and your smaller ones are all curled, you can go back to this. Should be dry enough for you to start working with again now. So take, I would say maybe 3 or 4 of these, put the rest a little bit further away, and just pop a little bit of glue on the bottom. So I'm holding the curled over bit with my fingers, and that straight edge there, you just want to put a little bit of glue on. And you glue them all now because once you have hold of it, you can't really let go. So you've got to hold it all in place. This is where you need 4 hands. Right, so take your cone and your first petal and just wrap it round there and hold it until the glue starts to set a little. Right, so once the glue is set a little bit on this, that was just a minute or so between the last bit, you can add the next petal, and again hold it in place, making sure the centre of your rose is going to be straight. Maybe add a third one if you're feeling up to it. Like I said, it's really fiddly at first, but once you get used to it, there'll be no stopping you. So mine's not plain balls, so I'm gonna have to just take it apart, a little bit more glue. Try again. Right, so once you're happy with where they are, I'm not that happy with them, but I'm just going to carry on anyway. You need to just leave it to dry for a couple of minutes. So maybe go pop the kettle on or grab a biscuit or something and just leave these to dry until you feel like the petals aren't going to fall off while you add more. Right, so once you've had a cup of tea, you just need to take the rest of your little ones and just little petals and just give them a quick glue. Probably do 4. Like I say, I'm probably not going to use the 10. I did on the video I made this afternoon, but I feel like the rose is just a bit too full. So I'm just going to do 4. Now I've not left this as long as what you guys should have left it, so mine might start falling to pieces. So you just want to, I'm just making sure you can actually see what I'm doing. So you need to put the next petal just slightly further down than the last ones. and just hold that one on until it sticks enough for you to start putting the next one on. So the next one's going to go slightly overlapped to the one that you've just put on. See if it stays. It does. So you want to overlap it slightly like that and press on. It is just a massive waiting game. But yeah, once the next one's on, you just want to keep going around until you've got all 4 on. Making sure your fingers are pressing down enough to hold it, but not enough to squish everything that's underneath. You've got to have a bit of a gentle touch with this. And then your last one just needs to go on like so. And you're just going to sit and hold it. So I'm going to quickly turn this off so you don't have to sit here and watch me hold it for the next 3 minutes. Right, so once you've held it long enough for it to dry, it should vaguely look like that on the other side. And this on the back. So just pop that to one side, and we're going to start with the larger petals now. So it's the same principle, a little bit of glue at the bottom, and do maybe 4 of them. And then start sticking them on, but do it where there's a gap. So probably there's a good place to put the first one. A little bit lower than the last one that you put on in that spot. And just hold it on till you're happy it's going to stick. And then you want to get your next one. Overlap it slightly and hold it on. If you don't let it set long enough as well, the petals underneath start moving around, so it does get really fiddly, so you are best each layer leaving it for 5 minutes. So I normally make 4 or 5 of these at a time, so I can do each stage, and between each stage there's a couple of minutes while I do a different flower. So always best to try and let them dry before you just keep carrying on, or otherwise you're going to end up with a big mess of paper and glue, and trust me, I've been there, it's horrible. So the next one wants to go about there. You can see that the one underneath there has just decided to lift because I've not let it dry for long enough. So I'm going to hold it all together. This is the most boring waiting game ever, so there will be a lot of this cropped out. And then the last leaf just needs to pop on across the lot. Last leaf, petal gem. So once these are all stuck, same principle, let it dry, have another biscuit. I usually have music on in the background, and it's usually a song's length. It's usually about 3 minutes long songs, so yeah, once you feel comfortable that the petals aren't going to come off if you let go, pop it down, leave it 3 minutes or so. Do a different rose if you want to make 2 or 3 at the same time, or just watch a bit of TV, or listen to a song, read a chapter of your book. So I am going to leave that for a couple of minutes. Right, so once you're confident that that's dry enough for you to start adding the next layer, mine's popped up a little bit, but it's fine. It's not the best rose I've ever done, but it's a rose. So again, glue 4 petals and just start attaching them. You might find on your will be the last row of petals that we put on. You might want to put 5 petals on, you might not. Just see how it looks as you're doing it. So again, go in the gaps, a little bit lower down than the last ones that were placed on. Hold it on. So now I've got them all held on, I'm going to try and do a flip with my fingers to see what it looks like. That's alright. Centre's gone a bit skew with, but it'll be sorted once it dried out a bit. So I am happy to say I'm not going to bother putting... Actually I might put one there. Yeah, I'm going to put the last one on. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Like I say, just see how you feel. Just pop it on. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So again, just let them dry. Hold them on until you feel like you can let go. To be honest with these ones now, I think I can just leave them to dry on their own. So while they're all drying on their own, so you're going to have a couple of petals left over, and it's mainly because if you rip one or you glue one and it goes a mess, you can just put a different one on. So the next step is to do your little leaf that we popped to one side earlier. So as you can see from the ones that I cut out earlier, you can see that they look a bit like moustaches, and what it is, it's because I've been putting them on one way and then drawing around them and then flipping it over and drawing around it the other way. And you will see why I do this in a minute. So you want to do 2 of these. So when it says on your template sheet you need 4 leaves, what it means is you need 2 back-to-back leaves twice. So I'm going to quickly cut these out. Obviously this is a good thing to be doing while your flower's drying. There's one. So quick rub out of the lines. Oops, that doesn't matter. If that happens, don't worry. You don't need to bother cutting another one out, we'll just glue it and make it look pretty. So what I tend to do now is I tend to use the back of my scalpel blade, not a sharp pointy end. But you could use, well, use anything that's sharp pointy end. You could suppose use the back of your pencil, but I just use it to score a line through the leaf. So obviously using the back, not the front, because if I did the front it would just cut a huge hole in it. Just be careful here that you don't stick your finger on the scalpel blade. You could use your nail if you've got enough nails. Right, so then where that line is that I've just scored in, you can use it to bend your paper so you get a nice leaf shape. And this is going to be the little greenery bit that sits at the bottom of your rose, like so. So you just want to bend it around a little so you've got a nice little bend to it. And then you take your rose and you want to use your glue. This is where you go, what? How much glue? You fill it so that when it dries it turns into a bit of a rock, which is what you want, so it means that your roses don't squish as easily. And then you're going to take this and go 1, 2, a little dollop of glue on the top, not wrecking it like I just have. Put them there. And pop that one on the top there too. And just leave them to dry. But yeah, that's basically what your rose is going to look like when it's all done. So once it's dry as well, you can manoeuvre your leaves and bend them a bit better into more of a rose shape. Lift them up a little, manoeuvre them around. But that is the basic gist of how to make a paper rose. Mine looks more like a begonia, but never mind. So it does take practice and it's not easy, it is really fiddly, so please don't think that you're going to be a master overnight. You might be a total natural. So once you've done your paper roses, so please send me a photo. It would be lovely to see how everyone did. And I hope you have loads of fun